Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. It's Wednesday, October the 4th, and I'm joined once again by Mr. Sean Higgs and Jesse Schule of gamblersworld.com or gamblersworld.net, actually, is where all the handicappers are, but you can get all our videos at gamblersworld.com as well. In any event, folks, we're coming off the first day of Major League Baseball playoffs. A lot to discuss there, and we'll discuss some football as well. And specifically, we got three games on hand. We're going to be covering Arkansas, Ole Miss, Alabama, and A&M, and Central Florida and Kansas. But before we get going on those topics in that topic matter, let's say hello, Mr. Sean Higgs. How are you, my friend?
Hello. I don't want to talk too much, Ross. I don't know if you're going to come at me today for something. I don't know. I'm feeling crazy today. I don't want to.
Listen, buddy, I come at you. You come at me. What's the difference? You know, come on, man. Don't get all sensitive on me now.
If I see one more freaking thing on Twitter about it's 50 days of football, like, I mean, go back to playing Xbox or whatever you're doing before you found gambling like 8 months ago, like. That kind of nonsense.
50 days of football. Explain to me what you're referring
every
to.
Every day there's college and NFL football.
Oh, okay.
Up until I think the day before Thanksgiving. There's no Wednesday night game. The big party night Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so no one can play football that day. Big travel day. Apparently, people like to travel the day before Thanksgiving.
I remember when I was a kid, man, and Sean, when I was a kid.
The Pilgrims? Ross was giving blankets of polio to the Indians back in the
day. Anyway, when I was a kid, I would always get in trouble on Thanksgiving because I'd go out the night before and get hammered, and then I had no appetite. My mother would say I cooked all this food. And anyway, let's get on. We're getting off topic. Jesse, how are you, my friend?
Nobody's ever accused me of not having an appetite, Ross, hammered or otherwise, especially for Thanksgiving. Rough start to the MLB playoffs for me, but that's the way the baseball goes for me these days. Looking forward to these college football games this Saturday. There's a college football game going tonight that I have an opinion on as well. And looking forward to breaking down these games with you guys today.
Here's my rant, Sean, and I know you're going to chime in on this. I'd be surprised if you don't have a strong opinion on this. Tampa Bay, 98, 99 win team, something along those lines. Playing at home, game one in the playoffs yesterday afternoon against Texas. 19,000 people at the game. 19,000. The Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, there's something drastically wrong with this. A hotbed for baseball, Florida. You could play the game 12 months out of the year. A cold weather sport like the NHL goes to Tampa. They average more fans per game than what the Rays did in their first playoff game. How does this city deserve a franchise? How long is this going to go on? How long do we have to hear about they need a new stadium, they need a new location? It's Major League Baseball. It's the playoffs. And then you watch the Philadelphia game, okay? And the passion in that crowd, and there's not an empty seat to be had. And the passion in that crowd leads one to believe that every person who was at that game life savings bet on their own Phillies. That's the way it should be. Anyway.
Part of me is like, all right, you got day games on a Tuesday. I understand it'll be, maybe not and it's Tampa. Like Yankees, you're going to get people there. Whoever, most teams, people are going to show up for a playoff game. Maybe a little late. It's tough to get there. But Tampa Bay has forever never sold out games. And then they want a new stadium. Listen, I'm all Miami, the same thing. They give these guys, we need a stadium, get people in here money. Bro, get professional baseball out of Miami. Get them out of Miami. You don't need it. Oakland, I mean.
Send them to Montreal.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Why didn't they the first time?
Well,
Why didn't they the first time?
Again, Montreal didn't draw either. Okay,
Yeah.
guys. I mean,
I love that old Expo hat, but
you know
I'm
what?
all for
But
contraction.
I will say this: I think if you brought a franchise back to Montreal right now, they've learned their lesson, and I think it would be highly successful. Jesse, I mean, you're a Canadian-born, again, Western Canadian, but still very familiar.
I mean, all those Canadian teams get great support from fans. You go to a Blue Jays game or any of the hockey games, they get a ton of people out for all the games, So, and part of the problem with Montreal is because they were like a farm team, right? They had all these great prospects, and as soon as they got good, they sent them back into somewhere else,
like Miami.
Yeah,
like Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how long have we seen the Marlins be like that? This is an oddity for Miami.
But at least the Marlins get competitive. At least the Marlins make playoff runs sometimes, and when they're good, they win World Series. Like they had it down where they could be good and be like, all right, we're close, we're going for it this year.
Yeah.
Good for them.
And again,
I'd rather have that than a team that spends $200 million a year and falls short every single year.
I get the daytime starts and the difficulty of attending games during the day, but it's the playoffs. And you know what, Sean, it's a 3-game series. It's not like you got a 7-game series. Okay, if I can't make it on Tuesday for that day game, tomorrow's going to be a night game, or they're not going to. We're not going to sweep them.
It's the retirement capital of the world. So you got a bunch of old people. They should be able to make a 3:00 game. What are they doing? It's not like it's at night. They can't drive at night because they can't see. Get to the game.
I'd like to know the average attendance of the Yankees preseason games in Tampa Bay at that stadium they play in Tampa Bay, as opposed to what the Rays draw all year long. I'll bet anything that if they don't outdraw them, there's a big similarity. But anyway, enough of that. What we saw last night in Major League Baseball, yesterday in Major League Baseball, we saw Jordan Montgomery throw another gem for Texas. That's, I think, 5 consecutive starts where he's just been unstoppable, or I should say dominating, not unstoppable, but dominating. And we saw, again, Tampa Bay got shut out. So, those who didn't attend are saying, see, I told you so. That's why I didn't go to the game. Anyway, and then last night, we just saw Milwaukee squander chance after chance after chance. They left 12 guys on base. I never saw such poor base running by both teams as what I saw in that game last night. And again, Milwaukee had 12 hits, left 11 guys on base. I had the over in that game, guys, right? Here at 4-3, top of the 4th. I'm golden, right? And guy gets hit by a pitch with the bases loaded and no outs. Now it's 4-4. I got a winner. Nope. Video review. He didn't get hit. They bring him back. Bases loaded, nobody out. He strikes out. They don't score a run that inning. I got to wait to the top of the freaking 9th to get the winner. So, in any event, any thoughts on what you saw in the Major League Baseball playoffs last night? Jesse, start with you.
Well, the Blue Jays, let everybody down again, and both Milwaukee and Toronto, not exactly clutch teams. They're both in big trouble now, I guess. Especially Milwaukee. You mentioned what happened to them yesterday, and then today they're facing Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen owns them as well. Looks like it could be quite a pitcher's duel in that game, actually. But I guess we'll see. I don't have the best read on Major League Baseball at the moment.
Freddie Peralta's going for Milwaukee. He's been absolutely unbelievable in his last 5 home starts. Zach Gallen, like Jesse just alluded to, 2 starts against Milwaukee this year. 14 innings pitched, 1 earned run, only 6 hits allowed, 2 walks. The only thing I would say about Gallen, Sean, is he's a little more vulnerable on the road than he is at home. He's
a lot more vulnerable. Double the ERA on the road. So that's a little concerning. Maybe Peralta strikeout prop here. He's been dealing. I think the Twins wrap it up today. I mean, you get that monkey off your back after losing. And the Jays, I had the Jays yesterday. I'm thinking, this is a team think could be really good and go on a run. No, I think they have no heart. They're not going to fight here. Minnesota will get up. It'll maybe 1-0 in the first, and that's it. Lights out. Just listen.
Yeah, well, Sonny Gray's been awful good at home.
I was doing last night with Gabe and Cam. I was doing a show on Sports Grid, and one of them said, like, I think the Twins or Toronto, if one of these guys gets out, like if Toronto goes down and comes back and sweep and wins the next 3, or Minnesota, they can go on a nice little run, because you look at the teams in the AL. I mean, Houston hasn't really impressed, right? They have the pedigree now. They're not like Toronto, who's kind of churning. They win. They have won. Give them benefit of the doubt. But Baltimore, as much good as they are, they're a little. I don't love that.
Yeah, I don't think from in the start, when you look at the starting rotations in the American League, you make a good point. I mean, you could argue that Toronto
These are
and
the two best
Minnesota.
rotations, Toronto and Minnesota.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
exactly
close.
where I was going.
It's not close.
Yeah. So, Jesse, any thoughts?
No thoughts, Ross. My thoughts are, can't wait till we start talking about football.
Let's go.
As he patiently waits in the bunker, Jesse wants to talk about football. Okay, let's talk about football.
Right,
Since you're so chomping at the bit, Jesse, we'll start with you. Arkansas and Ole Miss. Ole Miss right now an 11.5-point favorite. The total in this game is 63.5. Arkansas in a little bit of a rut right now. Again, they've lost 3 straight, but I still think they're a dangerous team. And Ole Miss, are they vulnerable this week? I mean, you're coming off that game last week where you beat LSU in a thriller. But again, they continue to give up a lot of points, Jesse. What's your take?
Sounds like we're seeing the same thing here, Ross. I mean, they get the win 55-49. They got to score 21 points in the fourth quarter to get it. And all of a sudden, the bookmakers are saying they're a double-digit home favorite against an Arkansas team because Arkansas has lost 3 in a row. So we know Arkansas is bad, right? But Ole Miss was real close to being in the similar situation. If they lose that game against LSU, which they were very close to doing, are you still comfortable laying 11.5 points with Ole Miss? Maybe not so much. You look at Arkansas's losses. They lose to BYU in overtime. They lose to the same LSU team at LSU, 34-31, close game. So they give LSU a run for their money. I like Arkansas as the dog here, and I will point out that Arkansas has covered the spread in 9 of the last 10 head-to-head meetings between the two teams. But I'm also looking at the total, and that's where my bet's going to be. The total is down here, 63.5. Last year, the total was sitting at 68. They went well over that, 42-27 when these teams met. The previous year, the total was sitting at 67, and they went way over, 52-51. These teams have a history of playing high-scoring games. I don't trust either one of these defenses. I think KJ Jefferson will keep Arkansas close enough to keep this score high. And I think, both teams put up some points, and 63.5 just looks a little low. And like I said, significantly lower than it was in the last 2 head-to-head meetings. And I don't really see any reason for that. So we're going over here.
All right, Arkansas and Ole Miss over 63.5. Sean, we talked about Lincoln Riley yesterday. We talked about how prolific his offenses have been at Oklahoma and USC. And we also talked about, and you pointed out, that his defense has been equally as bad or almost as bad as how good their offenses have been. You can make the same case for Lane Kiffin, okay? Especially since he's been in at Ole Miss. Their defense in his tenure has left a lot to be desired, yet his teams continue to put up a lot of points. Your take?
I got to agree with the over here. Let's be honest, Ole Miss defense isn't like the A&M defense that Arkansas just played against, but their defense ain't that great either. I mean, they've given up what do you say, 38, 34, 34. They've got a bunch of points. I'll lean over, but I would kind of like the 10 or 11 here. I mean, you got a desperate dog, double digits, questionable defense for both teams. I mean, Obviously, dogging over kind of correlates there, but I mean, and I like Pittman. He's having a rough go right now. He's safe though. He just signed a contract, so again, give me the dog any over in this one if I'm betting on it.
Arkansas is not your typical team that's lost 3 in a row. Jesse pointed out, and not so much last week, but the 2 weeks prior, they were right there. They went on the road at Baton Rouge. They lose 34-31. They lose 38-31 against BYU at home in a game. They outgained the Cougars by, I believe, somewhere around 200 yards. So they deserved a better fate there. The concern is how they're going to stop Ole Miss, which goes hand in hand with Jesse's over pick. But at this particular juncture in time, and we are recording on Wednesday morning, the game is still 72 hours away. I would have a small lean toward the dog in a situation. I agree with Sean in that regard. All right, let's take a look at Sean's game. And a real interesting matchup here. The Alabama Crimson Tide traveling to College Station to take on Texas A&M. There'll be 100,000 plus strong in College Station on Saturday afternoon. CBS will carry the game. And right now, Alabama's a 2.5-point favorite. And the total here is 46.5. And I'm not so sure that the right team is the favorite in this game, but I want to see what you guys have to say. Starting with you, Sean.
Yeah, so, the totals come down. The side numbers come down, right? Bama opened up as like a 5-6 point coming down here. I'm gonna look at the under. It's down to 46. It was 47 earlier. Alabama offense struggling. This is like towards like 90. This is almost like a 100 ranked defense or offense. Excuse me. Like, and Milroe, you see flashes, right? I mean, he lost against Texas, but Texas, let's be honest, is probably right up there. Michigan, probably one of the top 2 teams in all of college football. They almost beat them last year. They ended up getting them this year. And A&M here, another tough defensive squad. We have a backup quarterback, right? Max Johnson's coming in now. Bobby Petrino's got to get his offense in order. Again, this is a kid who threw 27 touchdowns for LSU. It's not like it's some raw kid coming in like, oh my goodness, we're going to get mauled by Alabama. But you got to ease them into it's Alabama defense. If they have anything, Alabama's come with defense. I'm going to go under. I think it'll be ugly. 24-20, somebody wins. I mean, I want to say A&M. They almost got them last year, a couple yards short there. They got them the year before as a big dog. What would they win? 41-38 there, some crazy game. Like, yeah. What have we seen Alabama? I know people kind of wrote them off after the South Florida game. Like, oh, they're done. Look at this. They're terrible. And then they had a big second half. I know Jesse did. He said his head, not me. But that was the talking point. Like, this is a team. I don't know. The defense is always there for them. You got to give them a shot. But how are they even favored by that number coming in? I thought maybe a pick 'em.
Yeah.
A&M always has a top 5 recruiting class. It's just a question of can they play. Like, there always seems always some kind of ridiculous stumbling block for them.
I just think this is you like the under 46.5, and I could definitely see how and why, especially since the fact that Alabama's not exactly putting up monster offensive numbers.
Like they're 88th in offense here. I thought it were 90.
Yeah,
88.
Right. I mean, there you go. I mean, when was the last time we seen that from an Alabama team at this juncture of the season too? I mean, we're reaching the halfway point right now, and quite frankly, now they're getting into the tough part of their schedule. Besides, I mean, if they were going to put up massive offensive numbers, it would have been early on. And then I could give them a little bit of excuse when they got into the meat and potatoes of their SEC schedule. But I don't know, Jesse. My lean here is toward the A&M side here. I just think the wrong team is favored here. And, I always say I respect the odds makers' ability to make a line. And when I make that point, it's only because in my own mind, I think A&M should be the favorite. I got a lot of respect for the odds makers, but I don't fear them. And I just think in this particular instance, the time is right. You talk about Alabama getting thrown under the bus after their loss to Texas. A&M got thrown under the bus after their loss to Miami of Florida. and since then they've responded very well. So I just think it's a good spot for the Aggies. Jesse?
I was listening to Late Kick this morning, and Josh Pate, he likes Texas A&M too, and he's on his show and he's saying Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher, they're really confident in Max Johnson, he says. And I'm thinking to myself, they're so confident that they named Connor Wiegman the starter, and now that he's out for the year, their confidence is in Max Johnson. So I don't know what to read into that. I don't have as much faith in Max Johnson. I acknowledge what you guys are saying, and I don't disagree with what you guys are saying. It does sort of look like the perfect spot. This looks like the time where Jimbo Fisher gets one over on Nick Saban. But until I see it, I don't know if I can go to the bank on it until I see it. And where I made a mistake with this one is the total opened at 48.5. First day it gets bet up to 49.5, 50. I was looking at it at 50 thinking, I'm going to be on that under. But I was a little bit gun shy because I lost all my totals last Saturday. And that cost me because I woke up the other day and it's down from 50 to 46.5. So it's not going to make the premium card. But certainly do agree with Sean on the under, especially the way that Alabama's playing. I think whoever scores 24 points wins this game.
Yeah, but I mean, Jesse, let me ask you a question. The subject of Mac Johnson comes up. The comments by Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino. What do you expect them to say?
Well, that's I guess that's my point. So how much can you read into that? To puff your chest out and say, this guy's going to have a big game against the best defense in college football, which I think most people they rank Alabama. Even though Alabama has struggled, I still think most people rank their defense quite highly. We saw what they did to Jackson Dart and Ole Miss. Even, the only team that got one over on them was Texas, and we're on the fence about whether or not Texas is the number one team in the country right now. They're certainly up there in the top. They're contending for that spot. And Texas A&M, in my mind, is not. We saw what they did against Miami, and we can't hold that against them for the rest of the year. Yeah, I think it's going to be a competitive game, and I think it's going to come down to, like I say, somebody's going to win 24-17. Alabama's the team that usually comes out on top in those games. It looks like it's Texas A&M's turn, but they still have to do it, and they haven't yet done. I'm a show me guy. Once you do it, I'll believe. But until you've done it, it's hard for me to believe.
No, I understand. And Max Johnson, you could do a lot worse than him as a backup quarterback, especially in a game like this. He's got experience. Jesse makes a good point, though. He's been somewhat erratic throughout his career, going back to his days at LSU. But by the same token, he's not going to be overwhelmed by the environment and the opponent on Saturday. Now, how he performs in that situation will be a telltale sign of where the rest of the season is going to go for A&M without their starting quarterback. So, and you make a good point, Jesse. If you had this much confidence in him, why didn't you name him the starter from the get-go? So, again, their comments, meaning Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino, were more cliche, coaching cliches in a situation like this, more than statements that are really believable by people like us that really are avid followers of college football. In any event, let me get to my game. It's UCF at Kansas, 4:00 Eastern time. Kansas right now a 2.5-point favorite. The total is 65. Kansas comes off a 40-14 loss last week to Texas, and we're playing with their backup quarterback. And I wouldn't put a lot of stock in that result, just because I just think Texas is like Jesse just alluded to. We're on the fence whether they're the best team in the country right now. What I will put stock in is the fact that Kansas, once again, when they step up in class, has been the case the last couple of years. Although they're a very improved program, their defense still leaves a lot to be desired. They gave up 661 yards last week. Now, I said they played without Jalen Daniels last week, guys, their starting quarterback. And to me, there's a big difference between him and the kid that played last week. I mean, he's not bad as a backup, the kid, but against quality opponents, I would much rather have Jalen Daniels on the field and feel much better about my chances from a Kansas perspective. I look at the fact that this total opened at 62 and it's now 65, and he's listed as questionable, again, referring to Jalen Daniels. I got to believe with that move on the total this early in the week, it indicates to me that there's a pretty good chance he's going to play on Saturday. Now, do I have definitive evidence and proof or do I have an inside track knowing that? No, but I'm just a sports bettor that reads between the lines, for lack of a better phrase, with no pun intended. It's a UCF team last week, 35-7 second half lead against Baylor. And I'm thinking to myself, I got UCF minus 11.5. They went down to 8 when I saw that line move. I said, oh boy, I'm in trouble. And then they're up 28 points in the second half. They're up 35-10 going into the fourth quarter and say, oh, look how smart I am. And these so-called sharps aren't. Well, then they melted down and they lose the game 36-35. What I did witness in that game is how bad UCF's defense is. That was the one thing that scared me when I made that play last week is UCF going to be able to hold down the fort defensively as a double-digit favorite and not get backdoored. Well, not only they got backdoored, but they lost the game outright. And against a Baylor offense, up until that point when facing FBS competition, was struggling. And Baylor put together 469 yards in that game. Kansas, 3 home games this year. They're averaging 40 points a game, 471 yards per game. UCF on the season, 37.6 points per game, 546 yards per contest. And, again, I look at this 62-65. I got to believe that Kansas is going to, Jaden Daniels is going to play. I just think this is one of those games that we could be looking at 41-38, 45-41, one of those types of contests, because I'm not thrilled with either of these defenses. But both offenses have shown the capability to move the ball against anybody. So I'm going to, even though it's a high number, and I'm reluctant to go over the total when we get into the mid-60s and higher, I'm going to make an exception here and go UCF Kansas over the total of 65. Sean?
I'm with you on that over there. I mean, Kansas defense, questionable. UCF defense, the same. I'm looking at their games this year. I mean, finally some adjustment here because their totals 57, 52, 54, 58, 53. I mean, they've scored 56, 48, 35, and 31 themselves. Yeah. Forget giving up 36, 44. I mean, the one low-scoring game was at Boise, which is a tough spot to go play on the road. Where's the defense coming from on these two guys? And like you said with Daniels, the line jumps up a couple points. You think he's playing. And even if he doesn't play, you don't think they could still get 20 themselves, Kansas, here? I mean, UCF's going to get their 35 to 40 points. I still think this game could go over even if he doesn't play. Yeah. I like UCF. I think Malzone's doing a decent job there. He's building a little bit. It'll take him a little while to compete here. You know, he doesn't have the depth, much like the Colorado team. You need more than a few really good recruits here, but they do have talent, and Kansas is still a team it's Kansas. They show some splashes, but I don't trust the defense. I'm with you on the over. Let's go. Over.
Yeah, and my question to you, Jesse, if you're looking at the side, how much effect and how much momentum and how much lack of confidence was lost by UCF last week going into this matchup at Kansas when you blow a 35-10 lead going into the fourth quarter and you lose in regulation time?
At home.
At home.
Yeah, sounds like you're talking about the Chicago Bears, and I won't be betting on them very often either. But no, I don't agree. I don't disagree with Sean very often, but I'm gonna go the other way here. I like Kansas. I probably like them even if Daniels doesn't play. I think that Jason Bean's a solid backup quarterback. He's had some pretty good games. There's a big difference to me at home against a UCF team that just blew a 25-point fourth quarter lead than on the road at Texas. They got weapons. They can score in a hurry. yeah, their defense isn't great, but at home, I think they can do enough to, the line looks a little low to me. I like Kansas to get the W here.
Yeah. Again, Kansas.
Jess,
took
I
a
didn't say I
2.5.
like the. I didn't. I like the over. I mean, I thought Kansas could score with Bean.
Yeah. I thought that you said you leaned, or you said you liked UCF. When you said you liked UCF, you meant as a
You like
whole.
I
Like
just said the whole. I
UCF
kind of like
in general.
Yeah.
You didn't mean in
like
the
him
game.
kind of build.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just saying, oh no. Being
So,
that
I
he's
mean,
had
damn,
no success
Sean.
as a starter.
I finally got a chance to disagree with you on something, and now we're going to have to agree.
Well, I don't because I like it. I like I like being. It's Sorry, go ahead. I don't want to make it seem
Yeah,
like I
we're
was saying
making
UCF,
progress
but
here. The next step is going to be that Sean is going to say nice things about me. So, and then
yeah, we go.
we're really making progress then. Anyway, all right. Mr. Higgs, speaking of you, tell the folks why they should invest their hard-earned money in you over at gamblersWORLD.net, and reminding the folks this is a guy who went 8-1 in the NFL on Sunday.
Well, if you look at the three of us here, who needs the hair care products? I need money for implants, and plugs. Help me out. Forget about the game. Just I need better hair here. No, listen. College football turning around again. Even NFL was a slow little start, but it is what it is. NFL college football. I have games up Thursday through the weekend, Monday. Let's go, and we'll have some MLB. Although I did have a couple losers yesterday. I did have the Rangers as a win there. So, and if you're watching today, I like the Peralta strikeout prop there. I like Peralta to strike out guys. I like the Marlins to bounce back here with Garrett, just so you have a little bit. But yeah, we'll have a little baseball, but basically football. Who are you kidding? It's football season. It's October. Pumpkin spice nonsense in football.
Yeah, Jesse doesn't want to talk baseball, so we're going to talk football with him, apparently. And Jesse, tell the folks why more of them should invest their hard-earned money with you over at gamblersworld.net.
Well, what I'm going to do, Ross, is I'm going to tell them to follow me on Twitter at Jesse Schule, see the stuff I put up there, get my content from YouTube. And if that doesn't convince you to come and buy my picks, I don't know what will. Right now on my Twitter page pinned, I got a free play on tonight's Conference USA football game. It's a very contrarian pick. I'm going the opposite way of a lot of the talking heads, but I've got my reasons. I think you're going to want to listen to that video, a short 2-minute clip on my Twitter page. I do have football plays, a full card of football up, 5-1 with the NFL the last 2 Sundays. Still 100% perfect with sides in college football. I know I've said that. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I did post the graphic on Twitter so everybody can see it. And yes, I'm aware that at some sites I might have got a different line and took 1 L, but at the site where I do most of my at my site, I am 10-0, and the graphics there for everybody to see. So
yeah, I saw it yesterday. So you
shop
check
the
that out.
lines, folks. You got to shop lines. We say that for a long time.
You made a good point about going against the talking heads. But one thing that Jesse never does is go against the talking bald head.
I tried.
It's like the giant head in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He pulls out the giant head like, oh.
I was thinking more about the monster chained in the basement in the Goonies.
And I'm sitting there talking to myself. You got to go to Twitter to listen how much that Jesse knows about football and why you should invest in him. But I think if you listen to him on this program, you'll also know how much he knows about football and why you should invest in him as well. But again, a shameless plug on Mr. Schule's part. And a good one, because you know what? It's where he just gives out a free pick and gets more into detail on his picks. So, yeah, you could check him out and also check Sean out on Midday Money, where you could ask him who he likes on every game of the board, and he'd be more than willing to give it to you. So, and then ask you to spend money at the same time. So, in any event,
Sometimes.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, it's me. You can find me over at gamblersworld.net, and I'm on a roll right now, folks. Yeah, I mean, a couple losing days in a row. I'm actually descending upon the earth And we know that, we go through these real hot streaks and then it just doesn't last forever. But I'm not willing to relinquish that yet. It's you can call it streaky, but when it goes on for 2 months, it's beyond a fluke at that point. And since August the 4th, as a matter of fact, my picks are in all sports 88 and 51. That's good for 63%. 39 and 15 with my last 54, which is good for 72%. Major League Baseball, I did hit my top play last night on the Brewers and Diamondbacks game to go over the total, but I did go 1-2. But despite that 1-2, 14 and 6 with my last 20, 47 and 26 with my last 73. Major League Baseball, college football, folks, 16 and 3 over the last 3 weeks. And that's not where it ends. If you go back to December 2nd of last year, college football 39 and 16 since that date, and that's good for 71%. And all football plays since September the 14th. Yeah, I'm done after this one, Sean. Okay, so
I'm just saying 71's good, bro. I'm about to say 70%. I'm like,
no, I'm just saying that I know I'm going on and on. So I know that's good.
it's your show. You make the rules. We don't even know.
Yeah, that's that. I'm glad you listen. We are making progress, Jesse, because it is my show. But you guys are valuable assets to me and valuable assets to the channel and the program. And by the way, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. It costs you absolutely nothing. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. There's no subscription plans in terms of money. So it's you'll see a WC logo on the bottom of the screen there, or you'll see a subscribe button on the bottom of your screen if you're on your mobile device. Just click on that. It'll get you going. Take one step further. Go in your YouTube settings. Click on that alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel, and you'll be notified immediately upon any of our podcasts going up on our channel. By the way, we mentioned last week we went over 11,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you all enough, and we can't thank you all enough for subscribing to our channel and giving us the support you have. We also last week topped 1 million views since this program began a little over 3 years ago, and that's certainly a feather in our cap, and we owe it all to you who continue to come back and watch our podcasts on a daily basis. There is a like button underneath the video box, and Mr. Schule will tell you exactly what he wants you to do with that.
Smash that like button.
Oh my goodness.
Sean didn't even take his headphones off.
I wasn't even ready for that because yesterday you forgot it. I didn't bring it up. I was going to bring it up today. You forgot it yesterday.
No, that's okay. Well, because you were shell shocked, I was attacking you yesterday.
I don't think people can handle it every day, Sean.
Yeah, exactly. In any event, hit that like button. It's just a small token of your appreciation for the work, time, and effort we put into this channel. Don't forget, Friday we'll be back, us three, live. 3 p.m. Eastern time, different time slot. That's what we're going to do going forward. We're going to accommodate all of you on the West Coast. So you'll have ample opportunity to view the podcast live, and it's your opportunity to chime in with your comments and questions and watch Sean get upset with me for not getting to the questions quick enough, and Jesse commenting before I know. And I answered a question twice, but we're a dysfunctional family that operates awful well, if there's such a thing. In any event, for Sean Higgs, Jesse Schule, and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless, folks.